OCD's favorite weapon of choice sometimes is the feeling of shame. We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist who makes videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk about OCD, and I want to talk about something that isn't discussed a lot, which is one of OCD's super weapons. It's the emotion of shame. Shame and OCD really go hand in hand with a lot of OCD themes, a lot of OCD intrusive thoughts. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how OCD uses shame as a weapon and how you can kind of outsmart OCD as well. So it will be different for each one of you depending on what your OCD themes are, what your intrusive thoughts are, but I'm going to talk about some common ways that shame is part of that. The first one is OCD will make you feel so much shame about having a particular intrusive thought or intrusive thoughts that it will make you not want to talk about it or discuss it. Does that happen to you? I've had a lot of people in my therapy practice tell me a lot of themes, but leave some out because they were embarrassed. They felt a lot of shame around having those thoughts. They thought that they were the only people having them, and they didn't want to feel embarrassed by sharing them. It felt too shameful. And so I didn't know about it. Therefore, it was allowed to grow and develop deep roots, and that OCD theme took over while we're working on other themes. And so it can kind of undermine your therapy because your therapist doesn't know that that's happening or that's a theme to target. And so it grows and gets bigger. Or you don't share it with your family or someone that's close to you or someone that lives with you, and someone who doesn't realize that you're struggling so much because you're not sharing that component of what's going on with you. So that's one way. Another way is that when you feel shame, the compulsion is to reduce the shame. So let me explain that for a second. And it's different for each person depending on what theme they have, but you might have an intrusive thought that is not who you are. And you might think, that's not me. I'm not the kind of person who has a thought like that, or I wouldn't do that, or think that, or be that, whatever it may be. And I feel really bad having that thought. And so I'm going to disprove that thought. I'm going to disprove that so I don't have the feeling of shame. I'm not that, or I don't think that. And so now I need to do something. What I might mentally do, arguing in my head. So I might do a mental compulsion that says, am I or am I not? Let me prove you wrong, OCD, so that I don't have to feel the shame that goes along with that thought or behavior. Or maybe I'm going to confess it to someone that I love. I'm going to confess it to my parent or confess it to someone I'm close with so that I can reduce the shame attached with the feeling. So I can say, I had this thought that you were fat. I had this thought that I did this or I said this. And then the person can help me reduce my shame. Don't worry, you're not that bad person, or don't worry, whatever they say. And you're like, but that reducing of the shame is actually the compulsion. And so it grows the OCD bigger long term. Or it might make you get reassurance from people. I had this thought that I would do this, but I don't think I would do that. Do you think I would do that? Or do you think I was a bad person because of this? Right? And so you might ask somebody that's close to you for reassurance to reduce the shame as well. Another way that OCD gets you to use shame is it might say, you should probably avoid this, this, and this so you don't feel the shame that's attached to your intrusive thought or feeling, right? So avoid doing or saying or being at this place or going here or doing that, whatever it may be. And it's different for every person, but a lot of avoidance so that you're not triggered so that you don't feel the shame. So if I'm having an intrusive thought that I might do something, then I'm going to avoid the thing so that I can't do it. And then I feel better. Something like that, right? That's an example. And so those are compulsions. And the more compulsions you do, the bigger OCD grows. So how do you get out of this vicious loop that OCD gets you hooked into because of shame? Well, you can unravel the whole thing if you actually realize that you are not OCD. It's a glitch in your brain. It's a glitch in your basal ganglia. right? It is literally just a glitch that's going on in the circuitry of your brain, and it's giving you these intrusive thoughts, but you are not these intrusive thoughts. They are glitches. And so when you have an intrusive thought that is not aligned with who you are, or is telling you that you are going to do something or be something that you are not, the reminder of intrusive thoughts are the opposite of who I am, and they are upsetting because I'm not that. And so of course they're upsetting, and of course they make me feel uncomfortable and a little bit of shame sprinkled in. But when I realize that I am not my OCD, and that intrusive thoughts are not who I am, and that more often than not, intrusive thoughts are the opposite of who you are, then I can reduce the shame and say, you know what? One, this is a common OCD theme. People don't talk about it as much, but people have these thoughts. These are common OCD thoughts. And two, OCD is not me. These thoughts are not me. These feelings are not me. And therefore, I don't have to own them as if they are me, because they are not me. You are not your OCD. Just like if someone had Tourette's and they shouted out something, they're not that word, right? You are not your intrusive thoughts. And so when you separate yourself out, and that's kind of why we always personify OCD and give it a name or something separate, because it is glitchy and it's something that's reflecting what you don't want to be. It's like an opposite inverted mirror, if you think about it that way. And so when you recognize that, you don't own OCD thoughts. You said, yep, that was a disturbing thought, because OCD is disturbing and it will come up with the most disturbing thoughts that will upset me. But once I realize and get disentangled from OCD and say, that's what OCD does to everybody who has OCD, right? It gives you upsetting thoughts and feelings that are not your own, that are not based in reality. And then it's the reaction that actually grows it. So when you get unhooked and you say, yep, OCD gives people really disturbing, upsetting thoughts that are not them, I don't need to feel shame about this, because one, I'm not alone. There's so many people that have the same things. And two, I am not my OCD. OCD is a glitch in the brain. And the less hooked in I get from it, and the less I do to support it, argue with it, do compulsions around it, the better I get, because I'm not giving it power that helps keep it running longer and longer. And shame is a component of that. So it's okay that you feel shame, because we're human and we do, but don't let OCD use shame as a tool to grow it bigger. I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.